Joining us right now, great pleasure to welcome a woman who has written a book about a topic I don't think too many people know a lot about. It's called Scent of the Missing. It's about rescue dogs, and she is a woman who works on a rescue team with a rescue dog. She joined us from Dallas, Texas today, Susannah Charleson, by telephone. Susannah, thanks for being with us. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Good to talk. I'm glad we had a chance when Rachel told us about this book and this particular topic, because I think it's kind of a little-known topic of how these rescue dogs work and how people like yourself train these dogs to get them ready to do these really difficult jobs where you're going into areas where you have to search for sometimes bodies or other things. It's rewarding work, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and you're exactly right. It's a part of the canine story that I think we see flashes of images on in the media, but it's a story that I felt had not really been explored in depth in quite a while, and when I began to partner my own dog Puzzle, my golden retriever, my thought was, this is, I think, something that people would be interested in knowing and understanding a little bit better. And sure enough, we get a lot of questions. People come up to us, after searches or at public events, and they say, I can't even imagine how you do this thing, how you, take a dog that looks like any other pet and train them to go find missing people to the exclusion of finding everything else like ducks and squirrels and dropped hamburgers. And it's a special training, and it's a special relationship that emerges with the dog. And I really wanted to capture that and to share it with people who would be interested.
I know down here in Sarasota we have a group that trains guide dogs for blind people, and we've had them on to talk about just the training regimen. It takes a year or two at least to get a dog ready to do that. I imagine it's got to be the same for these dogs that are trained to do what you have them do.
Yes, and similar to guide and assist dogs, our training with dogs typically starts when they are quite young, and in Puzzle's case, my golden retriever, she began training at 10 weeks old and was fully certified to work search and rescue before she was 2. But in between 10 weeks old and, I guess she was about 19 months old when she certified, were literally hundreds of scenario searches in all kinds of conditions, wilderness and disaster, urban environments where victims were, wrapped in waterproof tarps and under furniture behind closed doors, and she still had to identify that a living human was in that space, from a hallway behind a locked door. All kinds of these things go on for, almost about the same amount of time. Usually a year and a half, sometimes 2 years if training facilities aren't easily available for testing. And they go through hundreds of these searches, a very meticulous curriculum that progresses and gets harder and harder and harder until they take 3 certification tests at the end of the training period, one in wilderness, one in disaster, and one in urban environments and closed vehicle searches. And our dogs, and I think this is true of many teams, have to find 100% of the victims on those tests before they can be certified. And if they miss even one, they've got to do the test all over again. Because you really want to offer law enforcement and the community and the country on some searches that kind of safety net, the assurance that all the dogs that are out there have gone through this curriculum, passed all these searches, and then taken the tests and passed those brilliantly as well. So yes, it's quite rigorous. It's not identical training, certainly, to guide dogs in terms of the duties they have are very different.
Right.
But that sort of meticulous overview and testing is absolutely the same.
Now, are golden retrievers the breed that has the best, breeding for the scent? Is that why they're primarily used?
Well, they are one of many breeds that we see commonly in the search field. There are plenty of Goldens out there, but also plenty of Labs, German Shepherds, Border Collies, Full Collies. You also see Dobermans out there sometimes, Weimaraners. I understand in Europe the standard poodles often are used as SAR dogs and are very, very good at it. We don't see as many standard poodles here, but apparently they've got a lot of drive and speed and excellent noses. And typically what you find in the search and rescue business is dogs that have a genetic background already having jobs, and usually jobs where they had to use their noses. So the shepherds, the retrievers, the hunt partners, and along with that, using nose for another job is also a history of working with a human, partnering, by command to do something with a human alongside. And so genetically, they're already interested in those things, and they're already they've got a background in the DNA that leads them to want to do these things. And so when they enter the search field, it's a very natural thing for them. All they've got to learn is what we want from you is the location of human scent. Ignore the ducks and ignore everything else, ignore the squirrels or anything that your doggy nature would incline you to find, and just find humans for us.
I guess.
And mixed breeds can do it too.
I was going to say the smell receptors, they say in dogs, are hundreds of times better than humans, right? Is that why they can differentiate that well, right?
Yes, we have about 5 million scent receptors. The average golden retriever has something close to like 240, 250 million.
Wow. And
then a bloodhound, which is the dog that is typically used for tracking, which is usually a single person search. Bloodhounds have something closer to 280 to 300 million scent receptors. So yes, they're at least 40 times better smellers than we are, for sure, which is why they do this work so brilliantly.
And I've had the pleasure of not owning a golden retriever, but friends have had them, and they seem like very friendly dogs, and they really work well with people, don't they?
Yes, they are generally friendly, amiable, approachable, and they form deep attachments to humans. They typically love humans around them, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be their human. It can be pretty far-reaching to just about anyone. And that was really the reason I went with the golden, because we do a lot of single victim searches for missing children, for Alzheimer's patients who've wandered, other people who have wandered, despondents who've wandered in distress. And goldens have very light faces that are seeable in the dark. They've got very friendly, almost teddy bearish expressions. And I thought that if someone was frightened and disoriented and lost and in the dark, a golden retriever's approach might seem a little friendlier and a little easier to understand and be calm about than, say, a dark-faced dog coming on them in the dark. And there are plenty of brilliant dark-faced dogs out in search and rescue, but when it was time for me to make a choice, I went with a golden for those reasons.
I always wondered, what do dogs think we are? Do they think we're other dogs, or do they know we're people?
I absolutely am sure they know we're people, but I think they think we are, a particularly happening, and unless they've, been abused otherwise, that we're a species that they really like. But I'm pretty sure they know we are not a dog.
Well, it's a wonderful book. Whether you're a dog lover or not, you probably will be after you read this book. It's called Scent of the Missing. We've been talking with Susannah Charleson all about search and rescue dogs and the adventures that you go on, and some of the training, and some of the great bonding stories between human and dog. And Susannah, do you have a website you want to direct people to?
Yes. Scent of the Missing, the book has a website that's easy to remember, scentofthemissing.com. And on it are some additional stories from the search field. There's also a video there that shows Puzzle on a training scenario tracking a little girl who shot the video with us and went out one day on a Friday, and Puzzle follows her, trails her the next day on a Saturday.
Well, that's great, and it's rewarding work. It's difficult work, I know, but it's necessary, and I'm glad that the good Lord gave us animals to help us, right?
Yes, absolutely. We're very grateful for them.
Susannah, appreciate you taking a few minutes, and hopefully we'll talk to you again down the road. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Take care.